Fujit's Blitz, and yes, I know I'm a bit tardy. This is part 2 of the Aces Gallery for the first week of March. But hey, I do have another job. Doing videos on a pixelated tank game is not my main occupation. I'm actually a lawyer by trade. Anyway, without further ado, this is Banks_Banks rolling out in the VK3001P, the German Tier 6 medium tank on the Asian server. Now, this is a great little tank, and basically it leads you to the Tiger P and that line, which, as we all know, the Tiger P is quite a nice tank. So, what is it about this tank? Well, it's got lots going for it, let's be honest with you here. At the end of the day, you've got reasonable HP, well, you haven't really, of 920. You've got DPM of around 1,851, penetration around 145, all on your standard AP. You've got damage output of about 220. Rate of fire, okay, you've got a reload time of just over 7 seconds, giving you just over 8 rounds a minute. Aim time, it's about 2 seconds, and its speed is pretty good. You can get up to 60 out of this thing going forwards. And not only that, well, the gun depression, pretty pants, only 8 degrees. But it's a nice tank, and as you've seen here, already Banks has managed to knock some damage out there, and he hasn't taken a scratch yet. The thing about this sort of Tiger P VK line, don't forget, this goes into the Tiger P, and it all then ends up going into the VK series of the VK 100, finally leading you to the VK 72. It's a good line. Realistically, a lot of people complain about it, but there's some good tanks that follow this little beast. And for its tier, it's actually not as bad as you think. You stick it in the right place, you can get some good bounces off it, and the damage output's not that bad. A lot of people think, it's a little bit meh. I don't think it is. It's a tank that, in the right hands, like all tanks, to be honest with you, it's pretty formidable. Okay, missed a few targets there, but that's the way the game works. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. But it's not. It's a good all-round tank, in my opinion. And don't forget, this is a medium tank. After this tank, the rest of the line is all heavy, but this is a medium. But it's more of a heavium, to be honest with you. Okay, its armor and its hit points are a bit hit and miss, which is what makes it a medium. The turn of speed you can get out of this thing. You tell me a heavium that can get a good turn of speed like 60 kilometers an hour. That's obscene when you think about it. But the thing is, if you go with the mindset, this is similar to the Tiger P, with obviously not as effective armor, and you play it like a medium heavy. Realistically, it's got a good gun. It's got a fantastic gun. It's got one of those stereotypical German point in the right direction and shoot and it will hit type guns. And as you can see here, Banks has already done over 1,000 damage. He's bounced, okay, he's not bounced a lot, 160. But as I say, don't forget, it's a medium. Its armor is pretty thin, and it's got pretty low hit points. But that turret is not bad. Effectively, it's a Tiger P turret for all intensive purposes. It's not as good as the Tiger P. Don't forget, this is a tier lower. But for its tier, it's not a bad tank. And the thing is, you don't see many people rolling out, although there's a person rolling out it on the other side. I haven't seen this tank roll out for a long time, mainly because it's in tier 6, and when you get to tier 6 you've got quite a few funky tanks that people like. You've got the Cromwell, you've got the VK28, the KV2, the KV1S, and people prefer these type of tanks, to be honest with you. So this poor old VK3001P doesn't generally get a look in, which is a shame, because as I said, it's a good tank. But, the way the game's going, people want the KV2 for that big derpy gun, or they want the Cromwell for its speed and agility and mobility, and these poor sort of heaviums get left behind, which is a shame, because it really is a nice tank. I mean, it's straightforward as that. I mean, when you look at the other tank in its class, I mean, it's the VK3001D. I mean, okay, it's got better hit points, but I think this tank is slightly better. I mean, okay, on paper it's not, but you know, I just find this one easier to play. Now Banks has done over 2,500 damage. I mean, this is a really good roll. He's taken 4 kills, and no, he's taken 5 kills. So he's on for his Kolobanov. He's taken 5 kills. There's only 1 tank left. What's he going to do? I mean, look at the gun on this. Boom, there you go. Kill number 6. A well-deserved Kolobanov. Over 2,900 damage, 6 kills, and a Kolobanov to boot, and a steel wall. I mean, a shed load of medals there, and that's a really good game, and I'd like to thank Banks on the Asian server for kindly sharing that with us. Next up, really good friend of mine, MajorEasy of the clan BTSV, rolling out in everybody's favourite, unless you're facing it, and it's everybody's least favourite, the KV2, the Russian Tier 6 Heavy, on the EU server. Now, there's not much I can say about this tank, really. I mean, it's a KV chassis with a battleship turret on the top and a big derpy gun. Although, I have recently seen people going out in the not so derpy gun, which is interesting. Most people play this because they just want a bit of fun and wipe out tanks in one go. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why MajorEasy is playing it, for a bit of fun and to wipe out tanks in one go. I mean, that's the only reason you play a KV2. I mean, we've talked about the KV2 many times. I mean, at the end of the day, it's got pants armor. Let's be fair. Although we just bounced the AMX, that was nice. You know, it's the chassis okay. It's basically a KV1 chassis, but the turret is not as great. I mean, sidewise, it's paper thin. On the front with the mantlet, it's pretty tricky. But what makes it? That gun. And as you've seen there, MajorEasy, 1 shot, goodbye little AMX. I mean, this is the thing, over 1,000 damage. I mean, what's not to like about the KV2, realistically? You know, it just is a bundle of joy. I mean, watch this. I mean, okay, it's goodbye. You know, you thought you were pretty safe VK45, but KV2 by MajorEasy just takes you back to the garage. That's when you don't like the KV2. When you're playing it like MajorEasy's playing it, you know, 1,300 damage and 2 kills and less than, you know, 3 minutes into the game, it's good. Everything's, in the words of some things on the Simpsons episode, everything's coming up Milhouse. I mean, this is just fun. And, you know, I mean, the KV2, what is there to say? It's a dirt machine at the end of the day. And, you know, you've got numerous dirt machines in the game, from the KV2 to the T49 to the 183. Will they nerf the KV2? Probably not. I mean, what's there to nerf on it? I mean, the armor isn't that great. The dispersion on this thing is bloody pathetic. And, you know, the aim time and the load time is, well, you can go and make a cup of tea, still come back, and they're still loading it and aiming it. I mean, but that's not the idea of this tank. I mean, the idea of this tank is like, it's more like a TD, realistically. It's not a heavy. Let's be honest with each other here. I mean, you stick this on the front line, and, you know, most things will pen you, and you'll get wasted. You've got that really obsessively long reload, so it's not like you can do much anyway. But it's good fun. You know, you come across another KV2, you can one-shot them. In fact, you can one-shot most things in this thing. And the glorious thing about it is, you only need to load HE. You load HE, and everything is turning up Milhouse. It's great. I mean, MajorEasy sent me this replay in and on an email, and the email was, I finally bloody aced the damn thing. This is a tricky tank to ace, guys. It's not an easy tank to ace. The reason being is because, well, it's a lot of people play it, but because of that derpy gun, you know, there's a lot of damage games out there. I mean, my good friend Harrier77 of Clan 49 did. I mean, he aces this, he loves this tank, and he aces it, you know, religiously. But in order to do so, he has to get some pretty big damage going down. And this is the thing with the KV2. It's a tricky tank nowadays. it's not a tricky tank to play as such, it's just a tricky tank to ace. Game style, well, it's not the easiest because of this long reload and this crappy armor. I mean, as you can see here, MajorEasy's, and that's knacker away from 3,000 damage, which at tier 6 is a lot of damage, guys. And there you go, 2,000, he's taken 3 kills, he's kept a couple of bases, he's done 2,800 odd damage. I mean, sorry, 2,600 odd damage. I mean, what more do you want? It's a well-deserved ace in a tank that is really tricky to get a mastery in. I'd like to thank my good friend MajorEasy of BTSV for kindly sharing that replay. Next up, we got ThunderStruck 2015 of the clan TTT, rolling out in the T6 Drac, the tier 7 hybrid nation medium tank, which is a premium tank, and he's on the NA server. Now, the Drac, what can you say about the Drac apart from everybody has a tendency to YOLO in this thing? Why? Because it's fast. I mean, basically, it's a similar story to a CDC. In fact, it is a CDC. It just looks a little bit funkier. But the thing about the Drac is that absolutely amazing mobility that it has. But because it has that amazing mobility, most people who drive it like a completely demented fool. Oh, look at that! Drac on house in action. That's what the tank was designed for. And the thing about it is, it's not a YOLO monster. It's a great little tank. It really is, if you know how to play it. Now, contrary to popular, Drac on Drac action there, and it's his toonmate. Nice. Now, the thing about this tank is, it's actually a medium. This is not a light tank. And you would think with its mobility and its speed and its pants armor, it would be a light. But it's not, which means it's got a pretty pants camo rating. I mean, if it was a light tank, its camo rating would be sort of completely off the charts, and it would be really OP. Because it's a medium, it doesn't have that camo rating of a light tank, so it's not OP, although a lot of people think it is. Now, when you drive it like this, which is, you use the mobility to its maximum effect, but at the same time you're protecting the tank and you're not YOLOing in it, you can have a really good game in it. I mean, look at this. ThunderStruck has already done over 2,000 damage. He's already taken 2 kills. And realistically, he's been in the thick of the action. I mean, at one part of the game, he had like 3-4 tanks on him. And he was almost surrounded. And they didn't get to wipe him out. And, that goes to show that, this tank can be pretty... Oh, look at that. What a great shot. And he tracks him at the same time. That's going to really help your HP. So, this is how... you realistically should be looking to play the Drac. You shouldn't be looking to YOLO in it. You shouldn't be looking to be, just driving around like a demented spaceman. You should be looking to play it like a medium, but use that mobility to your advantage and not your disadvantage. And that's the thing. And a lot of people don't know how to play this tank right. And they just think you just have to roll around. Oh, bit of TOG action going on there. Do it, love it. I mean, look at that. The two contrasting mobilities. The Drac with its amazing turn of speed and mobility, and the TOG, which, is probably the fastest tank in the game. You've got to love it. TOG. Anyway, back to the Drac. I mean, I like this tank because, again, it's a bit of good fun. The other thing, however, like the KV2, this is not actually an easy tank to get an ace in. It's pretty tricky. Why? Well, it hasn't got the biggest damage output. It's got a great reload, don't get me wrong. Its 8 points are a bit, its armor is a bit, but its mobility and its damage output, and it's good, ain't that bad for this hyper tank. And, there you go. Kill number 3. He's now done over 3,000 damage. And he's managed to bounce a couple of shots as well, which is always a good bonus. There's only one tank left on the other team. I mean, poor old TOG. He's there trying to maneuver. Bless him. I mean, you've got to love the TOG. I mean, the TOG's gone, sorry. What am I talking about? It was a hell thing. Oh my god, I'm losing the plot yet again. But anyway, 3,340 damage, 3 kills. You can't ask for much more than that in a Drac YOLO. I mean, that is a fantastic mastery and a well-deserved ace indeed. And I'd like to thank ThunderStruck 2015 of TTT for kindly sharing his replay with us. Last but by no means least, really good friend of mine, Purser858_1 of the clan FTC3, rolling out in the T57 Heavy, the American Tier X heavy tank on the EU server. Now, I actually don't have this tank yet in my garage because I haven't grinded that line yet, funnily enough. I mean, I'm still stuck rolling around in the T69, although I think I do have the T54 in my garage, I just haven't checked. Now, I mean, this is a tricky tank, to be fair. Why? Well, one, it's American, which means it's got an absolutely shocking hull. It's a hull-down tank, and if you know that, then you're halfway there. Secondly, well, it's an autoloader. It's got a 3-clip magazine. The thing is, I mean, a lot of people struggle with autoloaders, and you know, I'm going to tell you now, please, guys, go and have a look at my how to play autoloaders video, because they are tricky tanks, and they take some getting used to. The thing about this one, though, boy, has it got a massive amount of damage in its arsenal. I mean, you can knock out 400 alpha on each shell in the magazine, and there's 3, and the burst damage is around 1200. I mean, that is a lot of burst damage, guys, at this level. And as you've seen there, I mean, he's already done 700 odd damage there. And, you know, the tank, the opposition's gone. He didn't get the kill, unfortunately, but that's not the point. I mean, the ability of this tank to lay down a lot of fire is absolutely huge. I mean, the DPM on this thing is 2,836. Its penetration is almost 260. I mean, the reload time, well, I mean, the magazine reload time is about just over 20 seconds. But the shell reload time between each shell is just over 2.5, is actually 2.5 seconds. So you're looking at 1200 burst damage every 28 seconds near his damage. I mean, that's a lot of burst damage, guys. That brings you up to a massive amount of DPM. I mean, this, you know, close to 3,000 in a heavy tank at tier 10 is pretty big. But the thing is, as I say, I mean, it's a tricky tank. The American, so it's got an American gun and it's got an American hull, and okay, you know, the turret isn't exactly massively tough, but it's a good tank. And if you know how to use an autoloader, then you will have a lot of fun in this thing. It can be a formidable opponent, and you can absolutely devastate the battlefield in this thing. But you've got to be careful, and that's the trick to this tank. You've got to know its armor, and you've got to understand the mechanics of this autoloader. I mean, as you can see here, I mean, Purser is backing away while his magazine reloads. That is where you become vulnerable, because that's when people can smack you. But look at that, I mean, that's 800 damage in 2 shots, and he's taken the tank with the last shot. Okay, he only got 800 damage because it was already down to a low health. But he's done almost 4,000 damage so far. He's taken 2 kills. This is the glorious thing about this tank. I mean, it really has got the ability to dish out an amazing amount of hurt. And, you know, you time it right, you get it right, and boy, you are nasty, nasty. So, that's kill number 3. 3,600 odd damage, 1,600 bounce to a well-deserved mastery indeed on a tricky tank. And I'd like to thank Purser858-1 of FTC3, along with Banks, MajorEasy, and ThunderStruck 2015 for kindly sharing their replays. It's been fantastic to watch you get your aces, guys. And with that, if you've got any decent replays, aces or funnies, or just think that you think is interesting, by all means send them to fujitsblitz@gmail.com. Please press like and please comment below. And if you haven't already, please press subscribe, because it's a really nice thing to do. And until the next time, stay safe out there, have fun on the battlefield, and happy tanking, because that's what it's all about, guys. Fun and happiness.